description of the efforts of Mr. Cohen, who uses the telephone for the first time. Mr. Cohen is trying to call up the manager of the First National Bank, who happens to be his landlord. The conversation is as follows. Hello, are you there? Hello. What number do I want? Well, what numbers have you got? Excuse me, it's my fault. I want Central 5050. I say, please, I want Central 5050. I say, miss, am I supposed to keep on saying, are you there, and hello, until you come back again? Well, don't be long. Hello, are you there? Oh, yes, you are the bank? Yes, I want to see the manager, please. I say, what did you say? This is not a telescope, it's a telephone. You're very clever this morning, ain't it? Well, do me a favor. Hang a small piece of crepe on your nose. Your brain is dead. And if I have any more of your impertinence, I'll speak to the manager about you. I said, oh, you are the manager? I beg your pardon. I'm much obliged. I rang you up to tell you that I'm your tenant Cohen. I said, I'm your tenant Cohen. I ain't going. I'm stopping here. I'm your tenant Cohen, not Lieutenant Cohen. I want to tell you that last night the wind came and blew down the shutter outside my house. And I want you to send, I said last night, the wind, not the devil, the wind, you know, that makes like a noise like, well, that blew down the shutter outside my house. And I say it blew down the shutter, no, I didn't say shut up. No, the shutter, the thing that comes down the front of the show. I want you to send the carpenter to mend the shutter. I say, I want you to send the carpenter to mend, not a tremendous shutter, no. Hello, are you there? Last night the wind came and blew down the shutter outside my house. And I want you to send the carpenter. A carpenter. A workman, yes, you know, one of those fellas that hit the hammer with the nail. Yes, that's it, a workman. Yes, a workman. I want you to send a workman to mend the damaged shutter. I said, I want you to send the workman to mend, not two men, no. One man to mend the damaged shutter. To mend the damage, I ain't swearing at you, I'm only telling you. Are you there? Last night, the wind came and blew down the shutter outside my house. And I want you to send the carpenter. A carpenter? Never mind. I'll have it fixed myself. Maybe you think I'm happy, but believe me, I'm a sick man. If it ain't one thing, it's another. My wife, she is fighting with me all the time. I should get a car. So to please her, I bought an automobile. And believe me, it's some car. The fellow who sold me that automobile said it would go like the wind. But every time I took it out, the wind died down. He said it was 40 horsepower, but I think 39 of the horses died. I used to take it out every Sunday. Sometimes I brought it back. Everybody on the road knew me. The minute they saw me coming along, they threw me a rope. The fellow said it was a runabout. And believe me, he was right. It would run about a mile and then stop. The man who built that car certainly made walking a pleasure. I paid $700 for it. But the man said it smelled just as good as any $5,000 car. The first day I took it out, my wife said, Abram, don't go so fast, because it's the first time I was ever in a car. I said, you got nothing on me. It's the first time I ever drove one. Well, we were going along for a while when a policeman said, hey, stop, you are speeding. So he began asking me questions. He said, what's your name? I said, Isidore Fitzpatrick Cohen. He said, what's the Fitzpatrick for? I said, for protection. What's that, my business? I said, rotten. He said, do you know you are going 50 miles an hour? So I laughed at him. He said, where is your speedometer? I said, I don't need any. I said I could tell how fast I was going without one. At 10 miles, the front fender falls off. At 15 miles, the rear wheel gets loose. And at 20 miles, we're not on the ground at all. Then the policeman lifted up the shutter in the front. He said, hey, your engine's missing. I said, that's funny. It was in there when we started. Then he said to me, how is your magneto? I said, fine. How is yours? So he gave me a paper and told me to tell it to the judge in the morning. Believe me, I had nothing but trouble with that car. Would you believe it? I ran over myself with that car. I was standing by the car last week, so I said to my boy Jakey, run across the street and get Papa some cigars. But he wouldn't do it, so I ran over myself. Well, I got the car insured, and I wanted to sell it. So I put an advertisement in the paper, but nobody would buy it. So I was reading in the papers where there was a gang going around stealing automobiles. So I left it outside my house in the street for 2 nights, but nobody would steal it. So the only way I could get rid of it was, we left the car there and we moved away. Here comes the Honorable Judge. Hats off, everybody stand, please. Be seated. Open court. Hear ye, all of having been in the court will kindly state the name of the judge, and you shall be heard. First applicant, Mr. Abram Cohen. Stop, please. Mr. Cohen, answer the following question. Born? Yes, sir. Where? Russia. What part? All of me. Czechoslav or a Jugoslav? Just a poor Slav. Why did you leave Russia? 'Cause I couldn't take it with me. Where were your forefathers born? Say, don't get fresh. I only had one father. Your business? Rotten. Where is Washington? He's dead. No, I mean, where is the capital of the United States? I guess they lent it all to Europe. Now, Mr. Cohen, you promise to support the Constitution of the United States? How can I do it? I got a wife and 6 children now to support. How many states in the Union? 48. What state are you now in? I'm in a terrible state. Now look out, Mr. Cohen. If the President and the Vice President of the United States should die, who would take charge? The Undertaker. Who discovered America? Columbus. Where is he? In Ohio. Where was the Declaration of Independence signed? At the bottom. Were you ever convicted of any crime? No, I always had a good lawyer. Have you any relatives over here? Yes, my brother came over here 15 years ago. Got a job as a janitor here, but he couldn't read or write, so they fired him. He went in the cloak and suit business, and today he's worth $1 million. Just think, Mr. Cohen, what a great man your brother would be if he could read or write. Yes, he'd still be the janitor. You know what that big statue stands for out in the bay? Sure, because it can't sit down. Why did they make the arm on that statue only 11 inches? Because if they had made it 12 inches, it would have been a foot. That's all, Mr. Cohen. Say, Judge, when do I get my papers? They'll cost you $5. I know there was a catch to it somewhere. Next applicant. Broadcasting station COD, 398 meters, marked down from 400. Weather report, clear weather for tomorrow. Go to Ginsburg's for your umbrellas. 1 minute, please. Stock market quotation. Broker Goldstein was very sick. His temperature went to 101. Levi said when it gets 105, he should sell. 1 minute, please. Public school talk. Public school number 65 introduces a new study called goes into. 2 goes into 4, 4 goes into 8, father goes into lots of places and comes home very late. Mother goes into hysterics, then goes into bed, but what goes into corned beef hash I can't get into my head. 1 minute, please. Stock market quotation. Special news report. Accident in a big office building. Mr. Levi fell out of his office on the 18th floor of the building and he wasn't hurt. He was killed. I will now talk on the 18th Amendment. It's the only dry subject that's all wet. The history of the United States. First the Dutch settled here, then came the Irish and settled the Dutch. Then came the Hebrews and settled the Irish, and then came Prohibition and that settled everything. Only last week a man sold his wife for a drink of whiskey, and yesterday I saw him and he was crying. He said, I wish I had my wife back. I said, are you sorry? He said, no, I'm thirsty. Archibald High Note will sing a beautiful ballad entitled, It's a Stiff Neck That Has No Turning When a Short Skirt Goes By. One minute, please. Little children, it is now 1 o'clock in the morning. I will tell you bedtime stories. Once upon a time there was a very bad little boy, and his father wanted him to take some cod liver oil, but the bad little boy wouldn't do it, so his father had to bribe him. He gave the bad little boy 5 cents every time he took the cod liver oil. Finally, the bad little boy had $2 saved up, and little children guessed what his father did with the $2. He bought him another bottle of cod liver oil. Now, once upon a time, there was a good little boy, and his father, to reward him, gave him 25 cents once and maybe twice a week. The good little boy wanted to save his money, but his father fooled him and made him put it in the gas meter, thinking it was a bank. The moral from this story is, always be paid off in pennies. Good night and pleasant dreams. Oi, what's the matter? The street ain't big enough for you?
Come on, you poor fish. Get out of the way.
Go on, you loafer.
Ha, ha, ha. Cohen, that was a close shave.
Oh, hello, Jack. Did you see that feller almost run me over?
I saw that. I was just going to run for a doctor.
Jack, never get a doctor, always get a lawyer. Say, you know, my wife went away, so I was just coming over to take you to see the Bohemian girl.
Ha, ha, you rogue. It's the old saying, when the cat's away, the mice will play.
The Bohemian girl is an opera.
Oh.
Oi, it's getting late. We better take a taxi.
Where to?
Take us to the Metropolitan Opera House.
Say, is he trying to kill us? You know it's the first time I ever rode in one of these things.
Say, Jack, you got nothing on that sofa. I think it's the first time he ever drove one.
By golly, we're pinched for speeding.
The only thing that's speeding is that meter. That's the traffic cop's whistle. Look, we got to sit here now while that meter keeps climbing.
Ah, here we go. Say, Cohen, did you see the barber of Seville?
I don't know him. I shaved myself.
Ha, ha, ha.
Ah, here we are. Jack, you pay the taxi and I'll get the ticket.
Run along, Cohen. I'll take care of the taxi.
Say, mister, how much cost the ticket for two?
$20.
$20 for what? It's too much.
Well, we have some nice seats in the gallery for $2.
Ah, that's better. What's going on up there?
Same thing.
They'll give us 2 seats anyhow. Come on, Jack, up we go. Hey, Jack, you know I saw an opera last week given by conductors and motormen?
Is that so? What was it?
Carmen.
Well, by golly, there's enough stairs here. Thank heaven we're up at last.
Thank heaven is right. That's where we are.
Oh, it's good to sit down.
Oh, look at the dress that lady's nearly got on. She's dressed for an operation instead of the opera. Hey, Valio, you make it too much talk, or what time o'clock you gonna stop? I no can hear the music. Say, it's your business? I just like to have you one time in my barber chair. I give you once to shave, you never talk no more. As long as I got my hands, I'll talk.
Oh, look, they're pulling down the big shade.
Go on, you dumbbell, that's the curtain. Oh, let me see your program. Oh, they got the same fella here that was at the Common Opera and he didn't show up.
Who's that?
Intermission. It's too bad you wasn't at my wedding. Everybody had a fine time, and we had plenty to eat. And speaking about eating, you ought to hear the meat soup. You couldn't hear the band. And we got some beautiful presents, all kinds of silverware. Rogers 1876, Pullman, Pennsylvania Hotel, all kinds of names on them. Then they played games. They played a game called Making Faces, and the one who could make the funniest face would get the prize. Oi, was that a funny game. Mr. Goldstein ran over to Mrs. Bear and says, "You win the prize." She said, "Oi, I wasn't playing." Just then the fire bells rang, and we all ran home for our insurance papers. We got our papers, then we went to the fire to see who the lucky one was. One of the firemen pushed Levi away, and Levi said, "Say, don't get so fresh. If it wasn't for us, you wouldn't be working." I said, "Levi, do you know your insurance runs out on the 15th? He said, "Don't be afraid. The fire engines will run out on the 14th. Someone asked Levi if he had change of 50 cents, and he gave the fella 6 nickels and a quarter. I said, "Levi, you gave him too much change." He said, "I know it. Wait till he tries to change that quarter." Oh, before we went to the wedding, I was telling you all about my own wedding. Well, when no one was looking, we sneaked away and went on our honeymoon. We went to a place called Malaria Junction. It's somewhere between life and death. When my wife woke up in the sleeping car, she said, "Oi, Abram, I dreamt last night you bought me an automobile." And I said, "You're going to ruin me with your extravagant dreams." Then I told her I had a dream. I said, "I dreamt I saw a magician turn a cow into a horse." She says, "That's nothing. I've often seen you make a jackass out of yourself." Ha! Well, we were away about 2 weeks. My wife, she couldn't get a job, so we came home. And the first one we met when we got back was Mrs. Rosenberg. She said her brother was in the war, and now he's got the hickory leg. My wife says, "That's nothing. My sister's got the cedar chest." Just then, Mr. Bear was running to the station house to get his wife arrested for trying to rock him to sleep. I said, "You can't get your wife arrested for rocking you to sleep." He said, "Oh, you should have seen the size of the rock." Well, my wife is some cook. I got the sepsis. So I went to the doctor, and he told me I must drink hot water an hour before each meal. But no matter how hard I try, I can't drink it more than 10 minutes. I said to my wife, "The thing that's troubling me is when I die, how am I going to get my coat on over my wings?" She said, "The thing you want to worry about is how you're going to get your hat on over your horns." On my way to the doctor's, I met Levi, and he told me he was studying languages. And just as I was leaving him, he said, "Au revoir." I said, "What's au revoir?" He says, "That's goodbye in French language." I said, "Carbolic acid." And Levi said, "What's that?" I said, "That's goodbye in any language."